Good to see you guys again.
8 hours ago. Michael, it looked like there was a few defensive miscommunication, specifically on those two Reeves three-pointers in the fourth quarter. And when you evaluated the film from today, what stood out in that second half defensively?
Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't defend anybody. Gave up 72 points, 67 from the field, 50 from the three-point line, 6 of 12, 18 of 20 from the foul line. I felt it was amazing that we were still up 20 with, I think, a little under 3 minutes to go in that third quarter with how bad our defense was. And so I felt a lot of it was a lack of physicality. They didn't feel us. They got whatever they wanted. To start that third quarter, it literally was just come down and living in the paint, one pass, no fight, and that can't be the case. So I told our guys, I think, this is the best possible situation we could be in. We won game one, so we're up 1-0. But there's so many things that we can clean up and get better at going into game two. And we know we'll have to be better in all those areas if we plan on going up 2-0 heading back to L.A. But unfortunately, in that second half, you can't find anything that we did really well on the defensive end of the floor.
Can't imagine you like LeBron going one-on-one against Jamal going into tomorrow night's game.
Oh, we'll figure it out. We'll give some different looks.
When LeBron's in the pick and roll, though, how tough is it? It seems like when it's Jamal and Joker, you're like, damn, if you don't, you're like, well, that's LeBron, and the other guy's not AD in this case, or not someone at that level. So I guess how do you prevent from wanting to stay committed to LeBron to get back?
Yeah, well, I mean, with the two threes that we gave up to Reeves late, those were two blown coverages. It was, we went through it as a team and watched it this morning. Jamal, we wanted him to be in a show to keep Aaron on LeBron's body and to get back. And we did a poor job of that. And so that's something that if we decide to show on LeBron's pick and rolls or we decide to use other coverages, we just have to be a lot more on point with how we execute those coverages. And it's not always just the two guys involved. There's three other guys on the floor that can give appropriate help. And we did a poor job of that as well last night. I felt they had 48 in the paint, but way too often, we were hugged up with guys on the perimeter. And if AD and LeBron see driving lanes, see cutting lanes, they become that much tougher to guard. So, again, for me, looking at that film and saying, man, we won this game, and they made a hell of a run, cut it to 3, but we still found a way to win it. And we didn't play, after that first quarter, I didn't think we played really good basketball. And that's a positive thing for us.
Yeah, as a coach, how much easier is it to coach? You win by 20, you're bloated with confidence, right? You eke it out the way you did last night, but you get it done. You can coach a little harder.
That's why, Vic, for me, I think it's like a perfect storm. I did my radio show this morning that 3 people listened to, and and I said, and one of the guys on the show said, there's this kind of discussion being based that, like, even though the Lakers lost, they're walking out of here last night like they think they've got something. I'll bet you every red penny I have that Darvin Ham would rather be up 1-0 than down 0-1. So for us to be able to watch film after a win and show all the things that we did poorly is a great situation to be in. So we have a lot to improve upon, and tomorrow night's another opportunity for us to do that.
On that note, how big of an advantage is it for you guys that you played so well in that first quarter, potentially in that first half, that they had to play their next card first?
Yeah, well, that's what you love about game ones. I mean, there was so much guesswork, if you will, for both teams going into game one, from rotations to matchups to game plan, and now we've both shown our hand. And, in game one, I mean, a guy that's played really well for them, was not on the floor in the fourth quarter, and D'Angelo Russell. And, that to me is an interesting, storyline. Are they going to play him? They're not going to play him. And much is being made of them putting Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic, like we've never seen that before. But, that's what you love about getting that game one under your belt. You have a much better feel now of what to expect. And obviously we're going to make adjustments going into game two, and I'm sure they will. And now it's just a constant tinkering of doing whatever you think is going to give yourself a best chance to win this game, and more importantly, win the series.
You joke about not having seen that defense before, but what are some of the teams that have used that coverage before you
Oh, I mean, like any team that Rudy Gobert's on has done that, whether he's in Utah, whether he's in Minnesota. We've seen that quite a bit before with them. Last year with Draymond, I think he was a free safety a lot in that first round series, just kind of free safetying off of Aaron and making that paint look really crowded. But we've seen that quite a bit this year, and so we know how we can be a lot better in countering that. But I think a really important part to this is 19 fast break is great, Adam, but 17 in the first, 2 in the second is like that. It can't be such a disparity. And that's because, as I mentioned earlier, we didn't defend anyone in that second half, which allowed them to set their half-court defense. And they are a very good half-court defensive team. Schroeder on the ball, AD at the rim, LeBron and Hachimura on the wings, and Austin Reeves, who is a really good young player on both ends of the floor. So getting stops and maintaining pace throughout the 48 minutes is really imperative for us.
What do you want to need to see when a team does try to cover Jokic with a smaller guy and let their bigger roam around the back?
Oh, once again, we need our defense to be better, because when your defense is better, you're getting out and running, and it's really hard to implement any game plan in transition. Because they got to the foul line 20 times in the second half, because they shot 67 from the field and 50 from three, that allowed them to set their defense every possession and implement whatever game plan they wanted. So I think for me, it starts with we have to be better defensively. That's going to help our offense. The second part of that is when we are forced to play in the half court, we have to have better spacing, better reaction, and there are different ways that we can counter that without getting into great detail.
Michael, Nikola has always been a good shooter, 35% for his career, 39% in the postseason before this year's playoffs. But at 51%, at a higher volume than he was shooting in the regular season, what are the ways in which you see that accentuating the offense with his efficiency and willingness from the three-point line?
Well, it takes Biggs away from the basket. I mean, when he's shooting the ball that well from the perimeter, most teams, they keep their big down the floor in pick and rolls. And now if you have a big that's capable of picking and popping and knocking down the three as efficiently as he is, that forces guys to have to get out there. And then, that opens up things behind it. I think when Nikola's knocking down the three, that forces teams to really close out hard to him. And I think he's one of the best guys in the NBA, not just big guys, but best players in terms of attacking closeouts. Very effective shot fake. He gets guys lifted. He gets downhill. His floater is almost automatic. And if you bring in help, he's going to spray to the corners or find Aaron Gordon or Jeff operating behind the defense. So that three-point shot just opens up so many things within our offense. I mean, we scored 132 points. I believe, if I read correctly, that's the most playoff points the Lakers have ever allowed in a regulation playoff game. And they've been in a few playoff games. So that says a lot about the offense against the number one defense in these playoffs.
Michael, rarely is KCP and Jokic in all foul trouble at the same time. Was last night more of an aberration, or do you think this could potentially happen again the way you played last night?
Well, I mean, we'll look at doing things a little bit differently to try to keep them out of foul trouble, hopefully. But that's definitely a concern. When Jamal and KCB both have 5 fouls, end of a game, and you can't hide guys and you can't take a possession off. I mean, this is a Western Conference Finals, so we can look to protect those guys a little bit more throughout the game. And obviously Nikola, he's so important. When he's on the bench, he's got to be on the bench for getting rest. It can't be on the bench because he's gotten foul trouble or picked up silly fouls. He's just too important to us. And, I mean, the guy is averaging a triple-double in the playoffs. I mean, like, that's unheard of. So, yeah, we need Nikola to stay out of foul trouble at all costs.
By the way, in hindsight, it makes, or in the moment, it makes sense to want to take a foul from Murray and give it to Jokic. But 24 hours later, 20 hours later, Can you believe you tried to give a foul to your best player?
Well, I wasn't trying to give it to Nikola. I was trying to get it on Dennis Schroeder. You know, I was hoping because he was grabbing the jersey of Nikola in that play. And upon the review, they can go back a few steps prior to the foul that's called. So my hope in reviewing that was that it was going to go to Dennis Schroeder. And obviously, they said successful challenge, but, you know, it was still a foul that went from Jamal to Nikola. But, you know, those are the breaks.
Michael, Bruce said he signed here with the intention that he would get back to being a guard, more of a ball handler. I guess when you guys were evaluating him in the offseason, what gave you guys the confidence that he could get back to that? Was it something, did you look back to Detroit? Was it back to college?
Well, I mean, just even watching him in Brooklyn, you know, was he the primary ball handler? No. I mean, but if you watch their games, I mean, he was a guy that showed me that he was just as effective with the ball as without the ball. And he was great at generating driving kick opportunities. He was great at generating opportunities at the rim for himself. So in Detroit, they tried to play him as a one. He was a combo guard in college. But, you know, I remember they beat us in Brooklyn one time, and Bruce Brown, like I remember saying in the locker room after, I said, Bruce Brown just beat us. And, you know, from that point in time, I've always had I've been a real fan of his and his game, his toughness, his versatility, and I still am surprised that second day of free agency that he was still available. Thankful that he was, because I think Bruce Brown has just been so integral to what we've been able to accomplish this season.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.